Okay, we're live.
How do we see the comments?
They'll start talking, and then we'll see them.
All right.
How are you?
I'm good. I feel a little stressed today. There's a lot happening in my life. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, we're on. There's 7 people on. Top left-hand corner.
Nice. Are you sure they're going to come up? The comments will come up?
Mm-hmm. I think there's just a lag.
No.
What?
You have to click on the comment right here. Here's the one spot.
Oh, there you go. Oh, there we go.
All right. Thanks for joining, everyone. We're really excited to talk about this book.
Welcome, chat. That's what I've been looking like. How do you do live streams?
Mm-hmm.
And all the, first of all, I should probably be in screen, shouldn't I? Hold on.
Dave, can you move the light too?
You can do all kinds of things.
Well, so can you move this light so I can see the comments on the screen? Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Better?
Yeah. Hi.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
And I have an idea. Can you turn the screen this way? The big one?
This is very representative of our relationship, where she sits there and orders me around. Go ahead. What do you want?
Turn that screen this way.
This one?
Yeah.
To you?
Yeah.
Well, I thought we didn't want you to, I thought that we were worried about you getting distracted by this.
Well, I'm still distracted by it, but I can't see the comments. There we go. No.
Is that better?
Yeah. Hi, thank you for joining. We're really excited to talk about this book club.
We are.
I dressed up for this, Dave.
Me too. But I just got back from a run and I'm overheating.
Well, okay. So as you guys know, I'm Allison Colarosi here with Dr. David Colarosi, and we are here for our, is it a bi-monthly book club? Like monthly book club. And we, because of the recent nomination for J.D. Vance as Trump's running mate, we decided that we should read his book just to get to know him a little better. And it was a bestseller in 2016.
Yes,
do I sound okay?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that I think we're okay.
So we decided to read it, and that's why I wanted to read it. Why did you want to read it?
Yeah, well, I heard really good things about it, and I wanted to be really polarizing to our audience. So I thought, like, what's a book that will really split the crowd? And this is a good one. Actually, I feel like
I just want to know. I want everyone to know that that's your personality. So if you ever invite David to a dinner party, he will always bring up a topic that causes conflict, and then just sit there and be entertained by it. And that's just it's fun for you. And you know who else was like that? Your dad.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Because I think you find it more interesting. It's like brings more interesting conversation.
Yeah, I feel like you have a decision to make in your family. Either you can, this is what I said. I recently said this to some family members. I said, we have a choice of either being able to talk about this topic in a mature way and share our views, even if we don't agree, or we can spend the entire week talking about the best way to slice watermelon. And that comment was not received with fanfare.
But sometimes I feel like you take opposing views just to take the opposing view. Like you don't
think
really
it's fun to sit there and be like, oh, yeah, you think that? Yeah, me too. And you think, oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And me too.
By the way, I admire that quality in you, because I feel like you don't get emotional in arguments, and I'm the opposite. I just have emotions going through me all the time.
I do think
I'm a heavy emotion.
You have more emotional depth than I do.
I wish I didn't.
At work, when my coworker says that I am emotionally obtuse at times. That's what she calls it.
Obtuse?
Emotionally obtuse. Yes. Just less sophistication there on my.
I just feel like hanging out with a bunch of psychologists would be
Yeah.
so annoying.
Yeah.
You're obtuse. It feels very pop psyche.
Yeah. Huh?
What did you say back?
I said that's right.
You're a black hole of emotion. Back?
Mhm.
What did you say? But
No,
what
no,
are you?
I really.
You're a river that runneth.
Yes. No, no, we always just joke about it because like we'll be on a call or something, and then afterwards she'll be like, did you notice that in this person? And I'll be like, what? Like I'll just not capture that what was happening was. I think it's a growth opportunity, but because of that growth opportunity, I can sometimes I'm a little bit too. I provoke too much.
But then I often feel like you would say that me with other people that I'm not reading the room well sometimes. So you're capturing, is it just with me that you are worried? That you feel
I
like
think,
you understand other people's emotions better than I do?
what?
Like you're always like, Allison.
I do feel like you
Allison,
also.
Allison, you're like kicking me under the table.
I do feel like you also. Sorry, I'm like cannot stop sweating. This is every time I do one of these book clubs.
Oh,
I
you
cannot
got
stop
a
sweating.
comment about your sweat on our.
Ugh, so annoying.
David's
Can
Italian.
I
We
tell you
sweat a
how
lot.
hard it is for me not to send? I read the comment and I showed a lot of restraint. I'm just working on not commenting back. But I had a thought for that person.
Well, you should undownload that again because it does take away from family time for you to look at it. Okay, back to the book.
What? You're jumping on. What are you talking about? We've moved through. Do you
Let's
want to talk about?
Let's get to the book.
Hold on.
Huh?
You've brought up like 3 things in 2 minutes. The first is whether or not you are emotionally obtuse, and the answer is yes.
No.
Oh,
I'm just full of emotions, but I don't read other people's emotions very well.
no. I think you read people. I think you read people very well. I think your depth of emotion is deeper than mine, but sometimes because you're in your emotion, you maybe miss somebody else's emotion.
Okay. Well, that's probably accurate.
And then the other comment was you said that I got rid of my Instagram and my TikTok. Oh, if you are on TikTok, I am so, jeez. It's so hot outside and I came right in
David,
here.
no one can see it.
Okay. I am dripping in sweat. Okay. If you are on TikTok, somebody is downloading my content from YouTube and posting it on TikTok and then using somebody else's name whose name is Without a Crystal Ball. They're combining it all on one account. So people now think that me and Without a Crystal Ball are like in cahoots creating content together. And this account has like 45,000 subscribers pumping out my content, like ripping off my content. And I don't know if it is Without a Crystal Ball or if they're also ripping off her content, but it is, just so you know, my handle everywhere is Real Pop Psych. If it's Pop Psych 22 or Pop Psych, that's it, or Pop Psych 1 or whatever, that is somebody that is ripping off my content, and TikTok will not stop it. Just so you know.
Oh.
I don't think we've talked about this.
No. Good thing I don't belong to TikTok.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, someone wrote in the comments just now that you're a pot stirrer, and I would definitely agree. David is a pot stirrer.
Okay.
Okay. So you said you wanted to start off with a soliloquy.
Yes, I would like to lecture our audience as we get started here.
Okay.
When we told people that we were doing this book, so we've done a few books, right? We did Anxious Generation.
That was really good.
That was really good. I love that book, but and I would say that the lion's share, I haven't heard anybody that's actually read the book be critical of the book. I've
Just
heard a lot of people that have
family member.
Well,
that
there are
hasn't
some
read it.
people that some people have very strong opinions without actually reading things, but I have that one. I feel like people like the book, and so they were interested in the topic. And then we've done a series of memoirs.
Yeah.
Right. And like we just finished up doing Whoopi Goldberg's book, and I think people are like, okay, this is good or this is bad or whatever. And then we told people that we're doing the JD Vance book, and what I have heard is either, oh, I love that book, and the people that seem to love the book are all conservative, or I've heard I'm not reading it, and JD Vance is a terrible person. and here's you need to do some investigation into the storyline of that book. Like he's a bad person. He used it to maneuver his way into politics. Look how he's flip-flopped now that he's joined with Trump. There is I'm trying to think of other the history is not accurate, or he hasn't accomplished anything. So at the time of writing the book, he hadn't accomplished anything. So what kind of arrogant a-hole would write a memoir if you haven't accomplished anything? And I just feel like the lecture I want to make is, first of all, this discussion today, I hope that we leave this discussion and you, the audience, have no idea how Allison and I vote. That's the first thing. And because we're talking about the book, we're not talking about whether or not JD Vance is a good politician, right? It's not about public policy. This is about the book. That's the first thing. The second thing is the idea that this book was so popular. Like when it came out, this book was so popular, both sides of the aisle. And then all of a sudden he's a running mate. And we now all of a sudden half the people hate him and dislike the book, I think shows you that there's a lack of objectivity. And the goal again is to look at the book. So I'm just like challenging people, look at the book. Yes.
Or read the book.
Yeah. Read the book for what the book is for.
Well, and I was going to say in 2016, like it was when the book came out, it was universally praised as a good book.
Yeah.
But now since he's jumped into politics, people are flip-flopping on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're flip-flopping the way that they're accusing JD Vance of flip-flopping.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just feel like that's an important, like, as we frame this up, I want to make sure that that's clear. Oh, and the last thing I would say is a memoir is a story of your life. It is not a story of your accomplishments. It shouldn't be. There are some that are like that. But for the most good memoirs, in my opinion, are a story of your life. It doesn't mean that you've accomplished something spectacular. A memoir is not traditionally a lesson plan for how to be successful. And so the idea that you need to have accomplished something remarkable to write a memoir, I think is misguided. The best memoirs are about somebody who has been through something. That's it. And whether or not they overcame it, right? So the Matthew Perry memoir we've talked about, wonderful book. It's not about how he was successful in Friends. It was about his journey through drug addiction, which he did not overcome and did not act like he overcame in the memoir. This story is about JD Vance's family. That's it. All right. I'm off my soapbox. How are you?
I'm good. Someone said that they expected more depth from the book. I think that's interesting comment. So, okay, David, did you like the book? Did the audience like the book? Should we start? What did you think of the book?
I thought it was very good. I thought it was, I thought he did a very good job of, it's funny, if you look at what the book is, what he's being criticized for, like I was like looking up, like, because I read it quickly, and I thought it was very interesting. I thought it was a powerful story. I thought it represented, I was shocked by how well, which I always am shocked in memoirs, when somebody's able to talk about their trauma in a way that doesn't feel like they're exaggerating their own gifts. Right? Like if you compare it to Jada Pinkett Smith's memoir, she is talking about absolutely traumatic events, but there is this like through line of, oh, and I'm gifted. And I like when
that book has totally scarred you.
Yes. Right. But then if you look at like, but even like the Matthew Perry book, there is a through line of, I'm gifted comedically. And that was how I got through.
Yeah.
JD Vance, I think, you know that he's intellectually gifted. You know that I mean, that is I would almost describe it as, I think it's under-described how his intellectual talents helped him elevate out of that environment. And so you get this sense of him describing his trauma in a very sober way that feels very honest, that I really appreciated. It didn't feel like it was a ego boosting story.
Yeah. Well, I felt like they didn't really talk, like he was good at, like, because he worked with his grandparents. So I feel like the consistency of working he had his grandparents work with him academically, I feel like helped him in school because he knew that that was his way out, and that's what his grandparents instilled in him, and even his mother like instilled that in him as well. Yeah, but like in the book, he never talks about himself as being smart. He just always talks about his mother being the smartest person he knew.
Which is always hard for me in these kinds of books. I'm trying to not to like, if you look at like the ones that we've talked about here, the Whoopi Goldberg book, I felt like her mom was described in a very favorable way.
Yeah.
Like Whoopi wanted to, and I think a lot of these people at the end of your at the end of the arc of your story, you always want to go back and frame people in a really positive way. And I don't think it's insincere. I think that for someone like JD Vance, whose mom is drug addicted and not present and absolutely abusive and absolutely neglectful, I think in the writing, you see his struggle of, hey, but I still love this woman and she's all that I've got. Right. I have my mama, right, who is stepping in, but my mom is like, that's my mom. That's who I have to deal with. And so he has this complex relationship. And I thought he did a good job of talking transparently about her use. And then also he would flip to, and she's the smartest person I know. And I want to be like,
salutatorian.
And I want to be like, is she really the smartest person you know? Probably not. But that's the narrative that he has to live with. Like psychologically, to survive that and look back and think, where's the value in my mom? You're gonna exaggerate how intellectually gifted she was, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think like he doesn't give Mama enough credit as being like one of the smartest people he knew.
Yeah, so he just kind of calls her a tough bird.
She does seem tough. Everyone in the town thought she was the meanest woman.
Okay, so can we talk about? I think Mama is an important discussion point.
Okay.
What did you think of Mama? Like, what was your reaction to her in aggregate? How do you view Mama?
Positively. I mean, I feel like she had a positive influence. I think she probably traumatized her kids, which is why her kids were not successful. But I think globally, like she had a lot of love. She was loyal to her family. She instilled good lessons in J.D. Vance. And I think it seems like she was pretty consistent in instilling those lessons in him. So I think that's what I think of her.
Do you think? Agreed. I agree. That's the right answer. But can I stir the pot a little bit on Mama? First of all, okay, let me say it this way. If you assessed my feelings about my parents or your feelings about your parents and compared them to JD Vance's feelings about Mama, right? She raised him. Our parents raised us. Do you think that if he had to score Mama on a scale of 1 to 10, how would he score Mama?
I think he'd scored her. I think she'd be A+.
A+, right? He'd give her a 10.
Yeah.
I think he would give her a 12. It would be like, whatever, Mama saved my life. And so frames Mama in a really positive light. If I asked you to rate your parents, they may be listening, so I don't want you to make the rating, but my guess would be you wouldn't say 10. I may not say 10. I might say, oh, well, I wish they did this differently or that differently, right? We would scrutinize it a little bit in a different way than JD Vance might scrutinize Mama. And I think that's from a psychological standpoint, that's an interesting mechanism that happens in how we're raised. Like a lot of times when we try and look at people's trauma or events that are traumatic, we try to look at the event in isolation and we try to go like, to what degree was that thing traumatic? But that's not how it works for an individual's experience. Like there are moments in my life where my parents did things that shouldn't have made a blip on the radar. But because of my mindset at the time, because of how I felt about them at the time, because of what I was going through at the time, I still remember it today, and I'm frustrated by it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Do you know what I'm saying? I would imagine there are things in your life that you look back and go like, I really hated the way my mom or my dad did that thing. I still remember it today, and I'm going to approach my kids differently as a consequence of it. Those nuanced things can take up a lot of space in your mind today. And JD Vance may not have. I think Mammon did some things that were probably significant in a very negative way to JD Vance, but he may not clock those things as being significant problems.
Why?
Because of the mindset, like because of the place that she held in his mind. He elevated her like she was his life raft. And so Mama could smoke a cigarette in his face, drink a Mountain Dew right next to him, have poor hygiene, make him work, talk about her ruby red butthole all the time, right? She could do all those things, but because of the position she held in his life, he interprets it differently than I might interpret something that on a scale is really minimal. What do you think?
Yeah, probably.
You seem bored by that explanation. What do you?
No, I mean that's true. Like I'm sure like she got him out of a terrible situation, and he had been wanting to live with her. Like it was so chaotic and abusive with his mother. Like he had asked her, "I want to come live with you," and she said no the first time. So, so I think you're right.
So how does Mama go from lighting her husband on fire to being the savior for JD? How do you think, how does somebody go from being?
Because so Mama was not the savior for his mom.
Right.
Because his mom witnessed that. But in reality, like Mama also was just as violent as Papa what's his name?
I can't remember. Papa.
But I think
I don't know.
But I think like in all honesty, like she probably saved those kids because he eventually stopped drinking, and she probably, even though she was abusive back and it was chaotic, like I think she learned lessons from that, and Papa stopped being a violent drunk before JD Vance was part of that, and they rekindled. So I think that's how JD Vance wasn't part of that. So he missed that abusiveness, which her mom was part of that trauma.
Yes. Yeah. But I'm bringing it up because I think it's when you talk about the arc of somebody's life, like it's notable that you have someone that is out of control. Grandfather is out of control for his mom, right? They were not objectively spectacular parents to JD's mom, but they were spectacular as much as they could, spectacular grandparents to JD. And I just think that it's just interesting. Or it's notable that such a shift can happen over the course of someone's life if they get things like I guess they got money, they got more money, they weren't as impoverished or as stressed financially, they stopped drinking, right? And making those two shifts, like it just created a little bit of stability, and then the good parents there were able to shine through. And I just think if you look at like Jade, I just think it shows the significance of desperation. If you're desperate and you can't cope, then your interactions as a parent become fucking horrific.
Well, because I feel like you don't make the best. Like I don't feel like I am my best self when I'm stressed. And so when they had 3 little kids. One was an alcoholic. They didn't have enough money. She had 2 kids by the age of 14. I feel like she had a lot of growing up to do. Like she was only 14 years older than her son and 15 years older than her daughter. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And but it's interesting in the movie, she looks so much older. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and when you look at the pictures of her in the book or in the like they have real pictures of her,
Hmm.
she's looks a lot older. Yeah. Crazy.
Well, I think she died when she was like, I forget what he said. I think it was like 76. I mean, she lived
Or
a
look
full
long.
life,
Yeah.
and she lived hard,
Yeah. And the
you know?
mom lived hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mama. Yeah. Wait, mom, I read and I watched them. I read the book and then watched the movie. And at the end of the movie, they said that the mom has been sober for 6 years now.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like coming through all of that and then reading the book and seeing like, what your son's become? Pretty incredible.
Mhm. And your addiction is on the big screen.
Yeah.
All the things, all the abuse you
Hmm.
did.
Yeah.
Okay. How would you portray JD Vance's portrayal of his family dynamics and his personal identity?
That's a whopper question. Say that again. What is it?
Well, like it's like what about his family dynamics has like made him who he is?
I think that he says it well that what I mean, I guess the whole thing. I think his argument would be that his family made him who he is.
Mhm.
He learned to work hard. He learned. I think he under describes in the book uh, how intelligent he was. I think he did recognize that he was intelligent. He doesn't really talk about that much, but I think he they put energy into his academic performance. I think that was his way out. I think
Mm.
his grandparents showed that they really believed in him academically. I think his mom validated him academically. It's a this is an area of the world that I know nothing about. This like Appalachia,
Mhm.
um, you know, Middletown, Ohio. I mean, that whole kind of redneck hillbilly thing, I know nothing about. What? Don't say redneck from the movie. He's like, that's not.
Yeah, that's not
Well, I
good.
didn't know whatever, but I didn't know that world, right?
Yeah.
And like for me, I did not know that redneck was not. I thought hillbilly was a worse term than redneck before this book. Here's my point. I know nothing about that. Like part. I don't know. I feel like there
The hill
hasn't.
people?
The hill people sounds really offensive to me. That whole term. So but I don't. It was an interesting sort of light shined on how that kind of poverty um, can hold. I thought he did a good job of showing how it can hold you back. But there's a really good part of that also, which is those people in those communities stick together. They align to they align with each other. They'll do anything they can for their family. They don't speak negatively about their families.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like there's a blue collar strong work ethic that's part of that, and then you marry it with someone who's not addicted to drugs, someone that does have a strong support system, someone that is academically gifted, intellectually gifted, and I think that the combo there is how he got out.
Mhm.
I think for a lot of people, they don't have the support or the opportunity that JD had.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because he was talking about like a lot of people in that community.
Oh, it's
Uh,
Appalachia, not whatever I said. Appalachia.
um, he was saying a lot of people in that community like don't even have a vision of getting out, and so they don't even understand heart like they don't see themselves doing anything bigger than what's in the community, And so I thought that was so like I thought that was interesting. So if they didn't have the support system, they didn't understand that there was more to life,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know. It's just interesting.
I think that is one of the things that I wonder how this will evolve with social media, but I think it's different now than when JD Vance was a kid, right? Like when he was a kid, I mean, he's roughly our age, maybe a little bit younger,
Mhm.
but um, whatever was on the evening news that your family was putting on, or whatever you saw around you, that was your whole world.
Yeah.
Now with the internet, I think people are able. I would hope that people are able to
Yeah.
see what else is out there, where else you can go, and I wonder if that will change people feeling kind of landlocked
Mm-hmm.
in these really desperate environments.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, every day I'm surprised what I see on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um,
So,
do you think that, like, okay, so there is some criticisms as to when the book was published in 2016.
mm-hmm.
Do you think there was a reason it was published in 2016? And does it matter? That was an election year, by the way.
I think my honest thought is that that's a stupid thought.
Okay.
But maybe I'm wrong. But the idea that because he didn't, you keep kicking my cord. If the book was published in 2016, he had to start writing it before that. And the idea that he was like, you know what I'm going to do to become really popular is I'm going to write a memoir of how my mom has heroin and how I overcame that, feels like you're really putting a lot of energy in. It's a real gamble that this is going to work out for you. And this is how you're going to become successful. Like that. I get now looking back on it that it served him. Certainly it has served him.
Mm-hmm.
That seems wildly strategic if he was able to do this and successfully pull it off.
Well, I just think he's smarter than us if he did do that.
And
way more strategic in general.
Way more strategic. That just seems unlikely to me. Okay, so I have some thoughts for you. Okay, so the I looked up because I'm reading this book. I thought it was very, very well done. I thought the level of depth was perfect. I thought that he did a good job of commenting on public policy or commenting on dynamics and talking about the desperation and the need for government, and what you would think would be the need for governmental aid, and then also talking about the downsides of governmental aid. I thought he struck a strong balance there. And then I was looking at, well, like, what do people not like? Why all of us? I get that we are all incredible, us, myself included, very biased. And I am sure that if I don't like his policy on Ukraine, I'm going to look at his book through a different lens. I don't think that's fair, but I understand that. So I was like, well, okay, well, what's the beef? And the beef is that people think he is diminishing, and he went too far to push for personal accountability versus acknowledging that his community needs support. He did too much. People think he did too much in the way of victim blaming than he should have.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I don't think I feel like he was saying at the beginning of the book. I remember definitely at the beginning of the book he was saying like social mobility is not a thing, and economic mobility is not a thing in Appalachia. And I thought he was addressing it as like not a like it's not their fault that they're in that situation. That's how I took it. So maybe I mistook that.
No, I would agree. So I wrote down, because there's a thing he said in the book that I thought was notable. He's talking about his mom's, going to rehab and talking about her drug use. And he at some point says to her, I think he turns to Mama and says, if you held her accountable, she would change this behavior. And the mom is saying it's a disease. And he's saying, no, it's not, stop doing drugs. This is a behavior, which is this has been debated forever. And JD says in the book that the research would say that it is a disease. It is heritable, that you can be genetically disposed towards addiction. And also the research would say that people that believe that are less likely to stop using.
Mm-hmm.
So it's both. And I felt like that's why I started this off by yelling at everybody saying, it's not a political book. He's just trying to lay out the landscape. This is how it is with drug use. Yes, genetically you can be predisposed. And yes, if you blame it all on your genes, statistically, you're less likely to stop using. These are just facts that he's sharing. I should say, I have not looked up the data, and I have never read that before. But the point is that his lens is, I'm just going to show you the data. And I think that that's when he's talking about Appalachia. Hope I said that right. Lacey is yelling at me, yelling at us. But when he's talking about Appalachia and his experience as a hill person and his family's transition to Middletown, Ohio, I think he's working to just explain why they're where they're at. He's not, the purpose of a memoir is not to inform public policy. It's not what he was trying to do. He's trying to say, we got a problem, and we as a group need to own our part of the problem, our part of it, which is family and education. We need to focus on it, right? Stop the abuse, get people in school. That was the focus. He didn't weigh in on how we need to change the education system. That's not the purpose of a memoir.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I agree. And I, yeah, I mean, yes, I don't think it was the purpose of the memoir.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts besides that?
Well, no, I was just thinking about like how interesting, like he talks about some of the symptoms of his trauma that he was going through that was like basically not diagnosed. Like he started not doing well in school because of the trauma he was dealing with at home, and started gaining weight in his stomach. He was having like severe stomach pain.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that the culture where he lived was just like a very volatile culture, but not just in his family, but like that's what he saw with his neighbors and his friends. And that was just like the culture of where he was from. And I was just wondering like how how that culture manifests in kids and where that goes, you know. Like he was talking about how like all his family members killed people and stuff. And so I don't know, what do you think?
I'm not quite sure I understand the question. What's the question? What do you
Like how, like where does that lead if you're just surrounded by volatility all the time?
I think it leads to volatility.
Like just a cycle of volatility.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I think it definitely
it normalizes it.
Yeah. And he would say, he would acknowledge that he has a temper and has had to work on his temper, and it's been a big part of his marriage, him working on his temper and not duplicating that behavior.
Yeah.
You know, I think we all learn how to cope, and we cope. Yelling and screaming is an adaptive way. Adapt is maybe the wrong word. It's an effective way to deal with stress. When you yell and scream, people stop doing whatever they're doing. When you yell and scream, you get the attention you want. When you yell and scream, it feels cathartic. There's a lot of reasons why you do that. And if you grow up in a world where that's how you handle your issues, then you think that this is the appropriate strategy. So yeah, volatility begets volatility, like 100%. You know, which I think is why I think the saving grace for him was, you know, I think that Mamlaw was volatile, but because of his educational gifts, because of the time in the military, he was taught a different way of living. Like that's a really interesting component of this, is his decision, like him recognizing, I am not mature enough right now, and so I'm going to go into the military. What?
You hear Leno yelling for me?
Oh no, I can't.
There's like,
I have these headphones on.
Oh, there's like balls bouncing, and so I'm a little distracted right now because
I seriously cannot hear any of it.
They're coming in.
Oh, should I just lock the door?
You should stop them.
Am I still sweaty? I am not this sweaty. I think I'm just
David,
I'm just Mediterranean.
You don't look sweaty.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mandy.
Oh, Drew wrote. Hey, Bob, what are you doing?
We'll be out. We're going to be out in a few minutes, and I'm going to make dinner. Love you. Okay.
Okay, you come in, Lino. Oh, he left.
Okay. What do you think does he offer any solutions?
Come here.
No.
Come say hi.
No. David?
Well, he comes in. Just say hi. Just look at the camera and say hi, and then you get to leave. No, over here. Enzo, Lino,
Come
over
by
here.
mommy. You can see yourself up there. Look
Look at the TV.
Okay. Okay,
Okay, all right.
Lino, time to go. We'll be out in a second.
Okay, Lino. 5 minutes.
Anyway, so globally, did people like the book while we wait for David? Oh, he looks like Allison. Do you think he offers any solutions for
Yes.
what he describes? So what are the solutions that he offers?
Family and education. I think that's what people are mad about. Though they weren't mad about it when he wrote the book, but they're mad now.
And they're mad about that
that he didn't say the government needs to step in. He didn't say, look at this impoverished world that we live in and it needs financial support. What he said was the people in this community, in my community, my family didn't know how to use food stamps in a healthy way.
Yeah.
He said the money wasn't going, that they weren't working hard enough at times. I think he took a sober look at it, and he also said we do need the support at times. We do, he said both. It's like both and. Yes, we don't know. My community didn't use the money the way it should have, and also they need to see the bigger world. They need to focus on family and education. And so I think that the fact that he sort of his ending stance was essentially family and education, I think, frustrated people. They wanted him to really point at a specific policy, which he acknowledged that's a hard one to solve. Getting a policy that actually moves the needle. He said he had a really good analogy, which I liked, which was the idea that you're going to have a policy that solves all the problems is not going to happen. Your job, our job, is to figure out ways that we can put a thumb on the scale and help people. And he was lucky enough to have Mama put her thumb on the scale. He was lucky enough to have his grandfather put his hand on the scale. His intellect put a thumb on the scale. Like he met people, right? His future wife. Like he had a lot of points where he was supported.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see what Lacey said. Appalachia here. We never liked it. We are not lazy or killing our neighbors.
I'm really glad. So I think this is a good time to have our listeners share some personal reflections of this.
I wish there was a way to get, there is a way to get, like Lacey, I wish like Lacey could call in and talk about it. So Lacey, will you click on Lacey's comment now? Just click it. It will show it. You just had it go up, 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 up. Right. Al, can you see it?
Yeah, Appalachia here.
But click on it.
Oh, it's longer?
No, just click on it. Click.
Oh.
You see, now everybody can read it.
Yeah.
So sweet, you keep kicking my so I think that, so this is interesting. Did you feel like he was making the statement that everybody in Appalachia was lazy and violent? Like, I don't know that was, it's interesting. I just didn't feel like that's what he was saying.
I thought it was just his family seemed very violent.
He said he did seem like in one of the last chapters of the book, Allison, he did say that not every family was like his. There are families where they're healthy. It's a healthy family and a warmer environment and very hard workers. And he was kind of making the argument that there's a split, there's a divide where there are parts of it where once your family goes downhill, it's difficult to pull yourself out of it. What's it called? Like the Matthew principle?
I don't know. I just was reminded about what the mean thing his mom said about the sister's nice husband, that didn't behave like that.
What did he say? don't remember.
Something about being a toothless.
Yeah. The Matthew principle is a social and economic principle that describes how people who are already have an advantage tend to gain more of it over time, and the other way around, right? So if things go poorly for you, it gets harder and harder and harder to get yourself out of that situation.
Yeah.
I'm wanting Lacey, can you say more? How did you feel about the book or other people?
So she said,
That was Leah. Al, are your eyes not working? Allison, I don't think Allison has her contacts in.
So I was doing another one.
Oh. Oh, yes. We click Lacey's out. Last one. Oh.
I mean, he did.
Yeah. He for sure did make money. I wonder how okay, Al, that's a good question. Like thinking about what Lacey's saying, how would you feel if you were in his family? Would you feel like Lacey's from Appalachia and feels like he made money off the back of the community, but he really, he isn't from Ohio, and he says he's not from Ohio, which is it's an interesting thing because he says that his family are hill people, but I thought he did a fair job of describing their transition to Ohio, which is like another criticism I keep hearing, mostly from your family, is that they say that he's acting like he was from Kentucky, but I don't think he represented that at all.
No, he just preferred Kentucky.
Yeah, but
because that's his home.
He didn't, but he didn't. I don't think he represented it that way.
Yeah.
Lacey, I appreciate you sharing that. It feels like was criticizing the community and then making money off the back of it. Yeah. But I guess I would just say that, I mean, my only reaction to it, and I don't know if there's a right or wrong, but my reaction to it would be that I feel more invested in, more interested in, more supportive of the world he came from than before, because I just simply wasn't exposed to it. Yeah. I think we hear a lot about inner city Chicago, and it's very easy to feel empathy for those communities. And I think it's harder to feel empathy for Appalachia or those communities. And I guess part of what I think he was saying is they don't want your empathy. And I think he's saying, but they need it. Like, I think that there's a difficult mix there of how do we be supportive, but they are strong. They're strong people. They're proud people, and they don't want your charity. That's why he talks a lot about his family not wanting food stamps or government aid, because they viewed negative. Yeah. It was viewed negatively by them.
Yeah. The other interesting thing about his family was that like the grandparents were like, and he said this about all of Appalachia. Did I say it right? Appalachia?
She wrote it here, and I think it was Appalachia.
Is that the grandparents are very involved, but like his grandparents were very involved. And he was saying that like that was normal throughout the community. But I feel like it's like the mom had several husbands and a lot of half siblings. Like her parents were involved, but were all the grandparents involved? I don't think so. So not that I mean, that's not about, I was just feeling like that was awesome that his grandparents were involved. But then I was thinking, like, were they all involved in Appalachia? I don't know.
It's probably like if we were to talk about Italians, and like we could make some, sweeping statements about how family dynamics are all one way or another way, and some families are and some families aren't.
We're all sweaty.
We are all sweaty. Yeah. I think it's that light is like.
It's not. You don't look sweaty.
Somebody put a comment on my YouTube channel today that was like, your sweaty bald head is a problem. Dry off before your video. I think now I'm neurotic about it.
Oh, so someone thinks he's a power obsessed. So I think
They think,
that may be true. I don't JD Vance.
why? So what? I wish that there. Say more. Like, what's the evidence that he's power obsessed? Okay, where are you reading that now? I don't see that. Will you put it in the center? Click on it.
Oh wait, that's not the right one.
I don't think there's any evidence of him being power obsessed in the book. I don't. Again, I'm trying to stay away from the current
We have another
policy.
psychologist on. Is that
So that Joanne said that writer is not the power obsessed Trump supporter of now. Yeah. So what Joanne's saying is we don't like his politics now, but it's different. If you just look at the book, that content's not there. I don't think. Yeah, I agree, Joanne.
Do you agree with this one?
Oh, Mandy, you are unless she's just saying that I'm like physically hot.
Mandy, should I be worried?
Mm-hmm.
And then this is a rebuttal. So he's completely changed. Someone said because he completely changed his views of Trump.
Sweetheart, you got to talk into the mic.
Oh no, I feel like again, like you said at the beginning, we're like, and I think this happened with Whoopi Goldberg's book too. People can't just read the story for what it is. They like go with their public personas too. But I guess it is a memoir. So
yeah, but it's a hard yeah, it's whatever. It's a hard thing, but I feel like it's interesting. I mean, the book sales have skyrocketed now that he's the vice president candidate. And so
well, because I feel like people need to get to know him. Like I'm definitely gonna read Kamala Harris's book too.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we need to know who might be leading the free world.
Yeah. Good.
Anyway, so that we're like around time.
Okay.
So
any other burning questions? Where I'm just gonna leave Joanne's. Oh no, I wanted the hot one comment up there. Any other
any other
comments,
thoughts
questions
before we close out, or it's a good time to ask David anything,
or ask Allison anything?
You can ask me too.
So okay, so we're gonna do another book club, but we're gonna think about what book for a bit. Because I keep running right before this and I can't regulate it. Taylor, I always come in here dripping in sweat. It takes me like 2 hours to stop sweating.
David's turned a health leaf lately, and he is on a fitness streak. How many days strong?
I don't know.
Gretchen Rubin would be proud because you're not breaking the chain.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
We should read one of her books because I love her books.
Allie, the movie is okay. The movie does not follow the book's same, like the cadence is different. Like the movie is written or the story is told from when he's in law school, and then you go back and you visit things that happened in the book. So I would say it's accurate, but it's a different vibe. I thought the book was way better than the movie personally.
Someone wants to know how many kids I have. I have 2 kids. 2 boys. I'm a boy mom.
Yeah. Do you think there's a correlation between grandparent names and their actions? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Like Mima and. Can you explain that question a little bit more?
Yeah. Okay.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you. We'll keep you posted on the next book club. Oh, that's just what you call grandparents in the South.
Yeah.
Do you think the characters are fully developed? I felt like
I thought the characters. I thought that I would say that Lindsay. Yeah, it's a good question. My perception was that JD was developed well and Mama was developed well. and I was kind of only interested in those characters. I think Lindsay was not developed that well.
Yes.
But
he loved her.
I
so
didn't know
much.
that I wanted her to be developed well. Like, I don't know that I didn't feel like I needed to know more about her. And I felt the same way about his mom, not developed well, but I wasn't reading it being like, oh, I don't care about these people. I just sort of was mostly focused on JD and Mama, who I thought he did a really good job with. That's a good someone who writes kind of.
Sorry, Linda, Kamala.
I thought you said
it wrong.
Kamala.
I don't know what I said, but I just want to make sure I pronounce that correctly.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy your night.
Hit the notification button because we'll have a lot more videos coming out and you'll be notified, especially because I don't know what book club we're going to do or when we're going to do it. So hit the notification bell so that you get pinged when we introduce the new book. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.